Jon Gruden has stepped down as head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders after the New York Times unearthed a slew of old emails he sent packed with racist and misogynist and homophobic language. The emails were sent between 2011 and 2018. They emerged as part of a different investigation into workplace misconduct that didn't initially involve Gruden. Jay Brown is the Senior Vice President of Programs, Research, and Training at Human Rights Campaign and an advocate for the trans community. Jay, thanks so much for being with me. Let's start here. There's been, thus far, a tweet from HRC on this. I'd like you to just fill out the reaction to what you read that this now former head coach sent over these period of years.
Well, thanks so much, Victor. It's a pleasure to be here with you all today. I mean, I think there's just not room for racist, homophobic, and misogynistic rhetoric in sports, but we know it's a pervasive problem, and unfortunately, these emails really exposed that in a shocking way. I think Coach Gruden should know this. He should have known better, and what he said was harmful. I'm glad to see that he's no longer a coach, and I think the NFL has a real opportunity at this moment to double down on their diversity efforts and push an environment that is really fully inclusive, where all folks are welcomed in sports. And, there's a whole lot of work that needs to be done.
So what's that work look like? Listen, we've seen the I don't want to call it a facade because that suggests there's nothing behind it, but the messages in the end zone, the messages on the helmets of Black Lives Matter and say their stories. HRC leads training in this area. What is the work the NFL has to do?
Yeah, I mean, I think in our work, we start with policies and looking at how the policies are impacting actual employees and customers, and then digging deep into the practices that can support those policies. Are there really adequate trainings? Are folks really understanding what bias looks like in the locker room, outside of the locker room? I think there's a lot of work that the NFL and frankly all major sports establishments need to do to really make good of their promises that they put, as you say, in the end zones.
All right. Let's turn to Netflix now and Dave Chappelle's special, The Closer. It's been criticized as having stretches of examples of transphobia in the material. The Netflix co-CEO sent out a statement to employees showing the company is going to stand behind the Chappelle special. Here's part of it. We don't allow titles on Netflix that are designed to incite hate or violence, and we don't believe The Closer crosses that line. I recognize, however, that distinguishing between commentary and harm is hard, especially with stand-up comedy, which exists to push boundaries. Some people find the art of stand-up to be mean-spirited, but our members enjoy it, and it's an important part of our content offering. Your reaction to that, and that the special is going to stay up?
Yeah, so I mean, I think, what a media company chooses to put on its platform has real consequences for actual people. And LGBTQ people, unfortunately, have been sort of the brunt of a joke for way too long. I think in this situation, what Netflix and Mr. Chapelle have said won't age so well. And for me, I watched the show. The problem is that he really talks about LGBTQ folks like racism doesn't impact our community. He's making jokes about I'm a trans person. He's making jokes about how we pee, about Adam's apples and chiseled jawlines. Meanwhile, Black trans women are being killed in record numbers. And HIV is disproportionately impacting Black and brown gay and bi men and trans women. Black and brown queer youth are dealing with harassment and discrimination at their schools, not just because of their race or their gender identity or their sexual orientation, but because of all these multiple identities. So to me, it's not an either-or issue, and I wish that he had focused more on the interconnectedness of all these issues rather than use us as a brunt of a punchline.